pleasant good evening and welcome to SAT TV's Channel 9 Evening News. I am your presenter, Nisha Charles. Thank you for joining us. Among the major developments, Dinian John is this year's Island Scholar. Trinidad and Tobago's Justice Minister Herbert Volney has been fired. Last of Obama's surge troops leave Afghanistan. And in sports, FIFA reprimands Jamaica after fans invaded a field earlier this month. Details of these and other stories after the break.
Support local, support SAT Telecommunications Limited, the people's choice. Join hands with us. Come and sign up for your digital TV connection today. We got the sharpest, cleanest, brightest digital TV connection. No antiquated analog service, only pure digital and many new packages coming soon. With latest in sports, movies, children programming and much more. So if you have your flat screen TV and you want to see quality TV, join now. Sign up today for your digital television. Support local, support SAT Telecommunications Limited, the people's choice.
Thank you for staying with us. Now for the details of the news. Professional ethics, a community and professional responsibility. That was the topic of the 5th annual Bernard Serendo Distinguished Lecture, which took place at the Fortune Hotel on Thursday, September 20th. This was done by the University of the West Indies Open Campus Dominica in collaboration with the Dominica Social Security. The lecturer present was Professor Sir Errol L. Waldron, who is Professor Emerite at the University of the West Indies and Honorary Consulate at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Barbados. Professor Waldron was very honored to have worked with Mr. Serendo in the 1970s, who worked throughout the Caribbean and served with great dedication.
When I met him, I realized that we would have trained in medicine, although at different schools in the same University of London, around the same period. And we would have learned the science of medicine and the essence of good conduct towards patients, as still happens today. However, that conduct was not formally taught at that time. We were supposed to absorb it from our seniors.
Professor Waldron says when doctors are preparing for their roles today, they need to be very good in the science of medicine and be equally rigorously prepared to act ethically and legally.
The ethical and legal conduct we were taught amounted to not having sex with your patient, not persuading an old lady to leave you everything in her will and then help her along to St. Peter. We were taught to deceive our patients for their own good, but to work without sleep, day in and day out, to save their lives. We heard of the occasional doctor who was put in jail for doing abortions, but our eye was directed more at the unqualified backstreet abortionists who endangered young women's lives.
He says in the past there was little regard for people as fellow human beings, that ethical conduct did not stand in the way of gaining knowledge, but more likely fame and fortune.
It is a reflection of better education, the promises of the Declaration on Human Rights, and particularly the global penetration of communication technologies, that we have seen a change in the attitude of people towards the professionals who serve them. And that change has occurred in medicine, in law, in the church, in teaching, and in business. And many of the professionals in those areas appear unprepared to be face the challenge and face being challenged by their clients.
He emphasized that responsibility and power in a community must be exercised at both a personal, institutional, and corporate level. There is an argument between the professionals and public as to what their duties should be, even when it comes to emergencies.
If one could influence the patients and others in the community to know what is right and wrong in the relationship between the professionals and their clients, it would be much easier to get the whole thing right, because each side would have a knowledge of what is right and wrong.
He proposes that a modern hospital practice, if it is to be best serve the patients, has to develop a code of ethics and conduct that should be written and embrace all categories of staff. Professor Waldron has served on the National Commission of AIDS, the Management Committee of the WHO Global Program on AIDS, and the National AIDS Advisory Council in Barbados. The Ministry of Tourism has seen the need to review the National Tourism Policy, which ended in 2010, and review the Tourism Master Plan with support of the European Commission. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Tourism, Mrs. Claudia Bellot, says they feel that many of the targets included in the Tourism Master Plan needs to be revised and some need to be updated.
We also need to take a look at the achievements that have been implemented in the tourism sector, and also to take stock of how we progress in the next 5 years. Additionally, the exercise will seek to develop a corporate strategy and action plan for the Discover Dominica Authority, which is the marketing and product development arm of the Ministry of Tourism.
She says there are always new developments in the tourism sector on the international and regional level, which she feels needs to be looked at in light of where the ministry wants to take the tourism industry. The process is supported by the European Commission through the Office of the National Authorized Officer and will be conducted by CHL Consulting.
The process will be very inclusive and consultative, and commencing next week from Tuesday, we will be engaging our partners and our stakeholders in focus group discussions and workshops so that they can input into the process, provide their views, provide their take on how they see the tourism sector progressing over the next 5 years.
The ministry is encouraging all partners and stakeholders to take an active part in the process because any action which are taken in the industry primarily impacts the private sector, who are the driving forces. Infrastructure is one of the major areas to look at.
We will also focus on our sites, our attractions. Of course, we will focus on how we market the country, Destination Dominica, how we proceed with product development and standards for the sector. And interestingly, at the same time next week, the Discover Dominica Authority will also be conducting an access conference to look at all the issues which deal and impact on how visitors get to Dominica.
The recommendations from the consultation will be fed into the policy and master plan, and they are hopeful that at the end, the documents will guide the industry and be a blueprint for stakeholders to follow.
But what we are looking for is improvements in on our sites and attractions, improvements to the image of Dominica, because that is very critical as far as tourism is concerned. People come because they imagine a certain image of the country, and in that respect, all Dominicans have to have a role to play in ensuring that the image of the country.
She said that every Dominicans need to take personal responsibility in putting their best foot forward to sell the nature island of the Caribbean. The exercise begins on September 24, 2012. The phrase, "you can do anything you put your mind to," is now a realization for one Dominican who, believe it or not, will be participating in an international golf tournament. Maxim Rafoul of Chekhol, who lives in Florida for a few years, says this was where he learned to play golf, which he now loves so much. He said that it was in 2004 that he started winning trophies in the sport, which has been motivating him to keep striving for the best.
I've been participating in tournaments in Florida since I acquired like 4 trophies from Florida, and being back here for the past 4.5 to 5 years, I've been taking part in the whole circuit of tournaments around the Caribbean. For the St. Kitts Open, the Antigua Open, the Barbados RBTT tournament, the St. Lucia Premier, and this year we participated in the INET International Peers Finals, which is a qualifying tournament for the World Finals in Loch Lomond, Scotland, where my partner and I placed first, and will be representing the Caribbean in Scotland and also in London from the 27th to the 3rd of October.
Mr. Raffle added that Dominica is one of the islands who do not have a golf course compared to many other Caribbean countries that have, and this has made it difficult for him in terms of practicing when in Dominica. However, he said that all tournaments he practiced in, he represents Dominica and always has a flag of the country wherever he goes to play. Mr. Raffle stated that his golf partner is from the island of St. Kitts, Mr. Adrian Northford, who is a phenomenal golfer.
Team. This tournament is basically based on points as a team. So the team with the most points would qualify to go on to, represent in the Caribbean. We also have another team which will be representing Antigua solely, which is will consist of Sir Vivian Richards, I should say, and Errol Frampton, I think. So they will be joining us on that trip to Scotland, which will be all expense paid, basically, and trying to really secure a win in Scotland to represent.
Mr. Raffle explains how he got involved in golf.
I actually played soccer most of my life on a competitive level, and in 2004 I broke my femur, so I decided, me being an athletic person, I wanted to pick up a sport that I didn't have to really use my legs too much or run, and golf was right up my alley. So once I picked up the sport, I got really hooked on it, and I've been an avid golfer since. And from 2006, I started participating in tournaments where I brought my handicap down to 6, and I've been playing golf ever since.
Though many persons play golf as a hobby, it is strictly a profession for him while enjoying what he loves to do. In addition to bettering himself at the sport, he also wants to hold some discussions with government and the sports division to see how golf can be introduced to school children and adults who also want to get involved. The Dominican golfer says that golf is a very addictive sport, and once one understands the fundamentals of it, they will always want to do better.
I did the St. Kitts Open twice, the RBTT tournament in Barbados at the Royal Westmoreland twice. I did the St. Lucia Premier at the Sandals Resort. I did the Antigua Open twice, and I just recently won the tournament, the 2012 INET International Peers Tournament.
He says since golf is considered a tourism sport and Dominica relies on tourism so much, they will go hand in hand and more visitors will come if we had our own golf course. He will leave Dominica to go to London on September 26, where he will meet with his partner to participate in the National Golf Day Parade, flying Dominica's flag, then a one-day match for National Golf Day. They will then fly to Scotland to participate in the Golf International Pairs Finals from the 1st to the 3rd of October. Mr. Raffle says that though they will be up against the best, he is confident and they will put their all into coming out successful. One Haitian bus driver is calling for justice in what he says he and 2 other Haitian drivers are being discriminated. Mr. Moise Francois says that since the bus stop in front of Minia's supermarket across the bridge in Roseau was relocated to Riverbank, the Maho bus drivers have been trying all in their power to ensure they cannot operate there. He said it has gotten so bad that there has been close calls to physical altercations, threats, and some bus drivers have been blocking them from entering the line, which was created for the Maho Masak Jimit bus drivers.
It's not because we are Haitian, and we cannot enjoy the line the government put there or the bus stop the government put there. What I'm saying, what about Dominicans living overseas? All about in the whole. The Martinique, the Guadeloupe, the Saint Martin, the Antigua, the United States, the England, they all about the Germany, they everywhere. So what they do for the living? If Haitian cannot have a good living in Dominica, those Dominican overseas, what they do for the living? I'm going to call on the Prime Minister as a Prime Minister. I want to ask the Prime Minister, if the Prime Minister is a Prime Minister for Dominicans alone, not a Prime Minister for Haitian or for foreigners, the Prime Minister is supposed to be a Prime Minister for every single foreigners in this country, because you are the boss, Prime Minister. You are the boss. Nobody not your boss. After you have to tell people what they have to do. Because Haitian living there, I check in, Haitian haven't got no respect there. Everybody just treat us what they want and do us what they want. But that's not fair, because you are Prime Minister, you have to say something on.
Mr. Francois says just as there are many Dominicans living and working in other countries all over the world with no problem, that is how they should be treated in Dominica, no matter their nationality. The upset bus driver pointed out that he's paying for his C driver's license to operate his bus just like everyone else. There should be no reason he cannot be a part of the line with the other bus drivers for the Maho-Massaquoi bus route.
For $1. Because I just want to know if I just have to sit down on a bench and ask somebody for $1. You understand? If the man don't want me to work, I want to know if I have to sit down on the bench there and when somebody passing over, please give me $1. That's not fair for a man to be something in our country, for a man to want to work in our country, that's not fair. I don't like it so myself. You understand? And I have papers in Dominica. I'm supposed to work anywhere I want. You understand? Because I have papers for that. When you have a papers in our country, is that paper that they're giving you for you to just enjoy the country. That's not fair. I said that's not fair. I don't like it at all. That's not fair. That have to change. The government in Dominica is supposed to look for that. The Prime Minister, you are Prime Minister for every single foreigners in your country because you are the boss. Nobody not your boss, you are the boss. It's you have to control. You understand? Liquor boys cannot tell you what to do. You are the boss. I don't want to hear liquor boy have to tell you this and that because you give visa for foreigners to come in your country, you are the boss.
Mr. Franco says that what hurts him the most is that when he went to the Assistant Superintendent of the Traffic Department, Patterson Albert, he said he does not know what to say about the situation, which amazed him. He said if the person in charge of the Traffic Department could not provide him with a solution to the situation, he does not know what else he can do.
Dominican overseas, do they have a good living? Who don't have a good living supposed to explain why they don't have the good living? But if we there, why we cannot have a good living too, like everybody? Respect, yeah. You understand? I want that. Because Dominican overseas, they England, they America, they Antigua, they St. Martin, they all about. They have a good living. Haitians supposed to, not Haitian alone, foreigners supposed to have a good living in this country because the country is supposed to have foreigners for the country to go forward. The country have to go forward. You cannot go forward with one nation. You have to go forward with everybody want to bring the country forward.
However, Assistant Superintendent of the Traffic Department, Patterson Albert, says he did answer Mr. Franco on this situation and what can be done to end this issue.
The Asian bus drivers, they have been operating in Mao for the last 3 years. And as such, they're entitled to be on the Mao route and park among the Mao bus drivers. But what is happening, the Mao bus drivers seems to be threatening the Asian bus drivers, and as such, they're fearful of parking among them. But he came to me, I told him that he should park along within the Mao bus drivers.
Mr. Albert said that if the Maho bus drivers are indeed threatening the Haitians, this is something that will not be tolerated, and once it has been reported, it will be dealt with accordingly. He added that Mr. Franco came to him and requested permission to park by Minia's supermarket across the bridge in Roseau to pick up passengers, but told him no, since there is not a bus stop, and advised him that he can park among the Maho bus drivers. Mr. Albert added that he does not know why the locals are discriminating on the Haitians, but this is not what should be going on. President of the Maho Bus Drivers Association, Warren Saint-Jean, says there has never been any conflict between the Maho bus drivers and the Haitian bus drivers.
I heard that over the radio, but to my knowledge, there have never been a conflict. The Haitians continue to operate in Maho as usual, as their customer running. Prior to this arrangement, the Haitian drivers have never stopped on the bus stop. They continue to operate by Minia 7-Eleven and continue around the line. So I'm just hearing from the mayor now that there is a conflict. I believe if there is one problem between an individual bus driver and another bus driver, it does not boil down to the association. There might be something boiling between an individual, but not the bus driver association.
One Maho bus driver, Mr. Renix Benoit, highlighted the problem that is going on with the Haitian bus drivers.
The problem we really have with the bus drivers in Maho is when we're picking up passengers, they come in and block us. Especially the red skin partner with the red bus. He's always doing us that in the road. And I believe he is the one that is the president of the nation. And is he got to behave better? Is he that behave worse? That is the problem we have. We don't mind Haitian run their bus, but we don't want them to come in all night because they're not part of the taxi association.
Mr. Bernard added that the Haitians can run the road, but not from the Maho-Massaquoi line on the bus stop, since there are 109 buses for Maho, which is more than enough and have no room for the Haitians. Another bus driver said that the Haitians have been killing their business by lowering bus fares to compete with them, which is unacceptable and needs to stop. And in education, the Campbell Primary School will welcome major changes this academic year. During the last school year, students, parents and staff of the Campbell Primary School met with education officials to develop a school development plan. Mrs. Margaret Jules Royer, Education Officer for the West, says some of the needs were looked at and key areas included agriculture, the enhancement of the school feeding program and the ICT program.
And at the ministry, we are very much involved in the ICT program. In the world of technology now, no child should leave a Dominica school without being able to master the computer and to use the computer, and the teachers using it for teaching and learning. And at this school, we only have one computer.
They also want to enhance literacy and numeracy and the introduction of the early childhood education program.
We have heard the ministry is very much involved in ensuring that no child in Dominica of preschool age should be at home because they cannot pay. All right? And so this is a very good program which we endorse, and the parents of Campbell are very willing. There have been meetings held already with ministry officials during the summer, and we have started with the early childhood program at the school. This is a very good program because that would mean the parents can then go to work and the children are at school. From preschool, they can right away enter grade K, grade 1, they're right in their village, you don't have to go far.
The government believes there needs to be a holistic view of education. Parliamentary representative for the Maho constituency, Honorable Raymond Blackmore, says all levels of education with regards to the entire person needs to be addressed.
Emphasis has been placed on tertiary education. But in retrospect, we believe that we have to address the foundation of the educational system, which is early childhood education. And in keeping with the mantra of the Labour Party, that notwithstanding where you come from, notwithstanding your social class, that education in itself should not be a privilege but a right. And we are so honored to be here this morning in the rural community, Campbell.
According to the Education Minister, Honorable Peter Sejan, it has been the norm in Campbell that the more affluent families would take their children into Maho or Roseau, and the less fortunate ones did not have access to an early childhood facility.
The Ministry of Education and the government of Dominica are of the view that early childhood results in successful students, responsible adults, and indeed much stronger communities. Early childhood education, we believe, gives children a jump start on education at the primary and secondary level years.
All these improvements are made possible by a donation of $27,000 from the Chinese business community. The 3 top students in the GCE A-level examinations were revealed on Friday, September 21st in a press conference, including the Education Minister, Honorable Peter Sejan. President of the Dominica State College, Dr. Donald Peters, pointed out that these 3 students show that they have mastered the art of studying.
The next stage is to perform at the university level and then move to careers. It is exciting that we have 1 male among them, which is good for us, and that these students have demonstrated that they have, can perform at a level which is international in scope. Because the future of our education system relies on the global village. It means that the students that we produce today must be able to compete at all levels all over the world. At the Dominica State College, we focus precisely on that level of education, and we have changed our capacity to do something called student learning, student-centered learning, instead of just teaching people with chalk and board. So these students are the students of the future. I have looked at the results. They have done well, and I'd like to congratulate each of them, each of you, and your parents for a job well done.
Dr. Peters advised the students to choose careers that can help them, the nation, and their families, since college and universal education is very expensive. He also told the students they must not let people dictate their career choices, since they need to choose to follow what they are good at and what they like. Education Minister Honorable Peter Sejan says the accolade of Island Scholars is given based on the laws of the Commonwealth of Dominica, and the government is of the view that students should maximize all available opportunities to enhance their educational goals.
It is in keeping with this vision that we maintain the law which deals with the award of the Island Scholarship to the student who has topped the GCE A-level examinations based on the University of Cambridge Order of Merit list. The rules for the scholarship are as follows. All private and school candidates are included, whether male or female candidates. Candidates must take the general paper, which is the GCAS level subject, to which a weighting of 1 is applied.
Mr. Seja added that the candidates must take 3 GCE level subjects, to which a rate of 2 is applied, and this year 74 candidates wrote the exams.
The Order of Merit list from the University of Cambridge International, the examining body which ranks the candidates in order of performance, reveals the following candidates as the top 3 for the 2012 session. Dinian John, Biology A star, Chemistry A star, Physics A, and General Paper E. Dennis Guy, or Dennis Guy, Biology A star, Chemistry A star, Physics A star, and General Paper E.
The third students is Ms. Tashina Lloyd, Biology A, Chemistry B, and Physics C, General Paper A. Mr. Seja expressed thanks to the support group program that facilitated the students with interest in pursuing the A-level program. He said these programs aid in meeting the government's goal of having a graduate in every household. The Island Scholar for 2012, Ms. Dinian John, says she is very delighted as she worked very hard for this achievement.
And I would like to thank, as the Minister said, the members of the A-Level Support Program, especially Mr. Wilson and the pioneers and parents who began it. I'm a little overwhelmed right now, very glad indeed. And what can I say truly? Congratulations to all the young people who did well in this year, and may there be even more good results. And I would like to also thank the Dominica State College. Thank you very much.
Ms. John won herself a full scholarship to any university in the world, which is funded by the government of Dominica. One of the top performers in the GCE A-levels is Mr. Dennis Guy, who gave thanks to all those who helped him.
In time, I would like to thank, firstly, God for helping all of us to do well in the examinations, the A-level support program, all the teachers, Mr. Wilson, Miss Abraham, Miss Trudy Christian, Miss Nicole Knights, and Miss Seja for their hard work in preparing us for this exam. I would also like to thank the teachers and members of staff of the Dominica State College, all the club advisors, for their hard work done. And I would also like to thank all the parents of each of the candidates for assisting us to get this far.
The other top performer for the GCE levels, Mr. Sheena Lloyd, says she is happy with her success.
Thank you to everyone who contributed to all of our successes, family, friends, teachers, especially the lecturers at the Dominica State College, and those who aided in the A-level support program, especially Mr. Wilson. We would have not have gotten anywhere near this far without you, and we can all recognize that it wasn't by our own efforts, that we all needed help and we received that help.
She said without God, nothing is possible.
Everybody, especially God, for helping us to get where we are today. So, thank you very much. Okay.
This has been the local segment of the news. Coming up next, regional highlights.